Okay, generating an API key is fairly simple. You just go to ai.google.dev and here you will have two options: get Gemini API key or read Gemini docs. I will go with the first one, and that will take me to Google AI Studio. And this is very similar to OpenAI Playground, where you can test out different AI Gemini models, get the code, set temperatures and anything else. And but our focus is generating an API key, so we'll go here and get an API key. I already have one created for a cloud project that Google creates it for you, which is generative language client. So let's create a new one, and I will go here, search it, and this will be generative language client, and this will create a new API key for us. I'm going to copy it and close. So here you can see it says this is the post request and this is the endpoint, and in the end which says the query parameters takes the API key, and then we have a post request which is a JSON format, and then we have a content type application JSON. So we are going to use all of these into our FlutterFlow API call. And let's go to FlutterFlow project. I will create a new API call. So let's test it out, Gemini AI text, and I will first copy the endpoint, and here I will copy it here, and in the end it says your API key. I will create a new variable for that same purpose. I will make it a post request, go to variable and say your API key, and let's call it API underscore key, and do it the same thing here, and set a variable from here. You create a square bracket and add a variable name here, and now I will copy the API key here and make it a string and save it. Let's go, and let's go back and see this is the header. Let's copy the header. It says application JSON, and I'm going to go to the body, set the JSON type, go to headers, set the application JSON, go to body, and now let's copy the JSON input, which is this one. I'm going to copy it and paste it here, and let's format it, and you can see it just formatted, and this is a text input that we will use to test the API. So let's save it and test it first to see if it works, and I'm going to test the API call. Okay, it works, and we will have a response like this. It says candidates.content.parse.text, and this is the text we are going to use in our app. So let's create a endpoint which is going to be a JSON path, and this one $.candidates. Let's add a JSON path, name it text response like this. Save it, and let's go to our FlutterFlow UI and create a button that calls this API key and a response in a UI widget, which is going to be a Markdown widget. So what Markdown widget does, it formats the layout for us, so we don't have to do anything. It will just set the layout automatically for us. So let's call the API key on actions, API call, which will be API, and this will be Gemini AI text. We will set the first variable, which is going to be used as a user prompt. Let's go to variables, create a variable prompt. It's going to be a string type, and we will set it in the body like this. We will remove this static text and set it with dynamic variable, which is going to be a prompt. We are going to save it. Let's go back and call the API again like this, and now we will have this variable, and this will set from a widget on the front end. Let's create a text field that will take this as an input, and I will say prompt field. Okay, and enter text here, anything, and then Markdown widget will have the response. Let's create a variable that will set the response from, and it will be very simple like this: API response, make it a string type, and we can make it nullable. By default we can say unset, and then set the widget with this one, and go to the pay state, set the API response, and now we can even name this call Gemini, and I guess we are good to go. Or we have to, oh yes, we have to update the pay state first. So here, once we have the response, we will update the pay state, and we will update the API response with the action output of the API call. So we go to API call, action output, JSON body, predefined path, predefined path will be text response. If there's nothing, just say unset, and that's about it. It will rebuild the page, and let's test it out. So what error it is, variable value configured incorrectly for API call. Let's see what it says. Okay, we haven't set this one. This will come from the widget state. It's going to be from the prompt field, which is the text field. Okay, we are good to go. Let's test it out. Let's do it in run mode because it takes less time. Okay, the project is loaded. Let's test it out. Currently the variable is API response, which is unset. So let's give a user prompt, anything like give me the name of 10 fastest cars in the world. Call the API key. And okay, we got the response. As you can see, we got 10 different names of cars, and they are already formatted for us because we use a Markdown widget. So this is a great widget to format text like this. Okay, that's it for this video. I hope you like this one, and stay tuned for the next one.